Welcome to Melted. I am your host, Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood, lead singer of the Melted Chapsticks. We are sponsored by Carlino Guitars. We're on Boston Free Radio and Spotify. Catch us on Boston Free Radio, 7 o'clock every Wednesday night. Love Somerville. And we have a wonderful guest today, Phil Shouse. Played for the Gene Simmons Band with Ace Frehley, the Rock and Roll Residency. He also is a member of Accept, a metal band. So I'm excited to talk to him about Mutt merch. We are sponsored by Carlino Guitars, and Eddie has a trivia question each week. Carlino Guitars, you can find them at 135 Mystic Ave in Medford, Mass. Open Sunday 11 to 7, Monday through Friday 11 to 9, Saturdays 10 to 7. You can get lessons there from the one and only Joe Filoni. And the trivia question for a free t-shirt from Eddie is, where did Phil Shouse stop into on his way to Sweden? And if you have that answer, you can jump on Eddie Carlino's Facebook page, get on our Melted page, give us the answer. Eddie will customize a t-shirt for you. Eddie is wonderful in the way of being Eddie, just a great, great person. He does straps and custom guitars. The straps are used by some people like Rick Nielsen, Paul Stanley, Evan Stanley, the whole KISS crew, Ryan Cook, Jeremy Asbrock, Phil Shouse, Dolly Parton's on this list, Joe Perry, Britt Lightning, and it goes on and on and on. I think I mentioned Gene Simmons. But yeah, Eddie's great like that. You can just pop by his store. He's always there. There's a purple couch you can sit on, acoustic guitars to buy. His website is carlinoguitars.com. I'm really excited about our guest today on Melted, Phil Shouse. He has toured and played all over the world. Growing up as a guitarist myself, to be able to play KISS songs, let alone with KISS, is just utterly a dream come true. He also has a great site called Mutt Merch, which is MUTTMERCH.com, Mutt Merch, and it's clothing for your dog. It's just really some cool stuff, which we're going to go over today. Just dealing with what's been going on in life in general, which is a pandemic. Been masking up and doing my best to stay healthy, keep others healthy, just playing a lot of guitar. If you get a chance, jump on Melted if you want to be on our show. Let us know exactly, what you're up to, what kind of art you're doing. We'd love to have you on the show. I am looking at Phil's band Accept. They're a metal band out of Germany. Amazing. A little of that heavy metal going on, which we love. And I'm really interested to learn about the aspects of creating songs, touring. He also had a little festival in the midst of it all called the KISS Rocks Masquerade live stream, which he did beginning of January. So we're going to talk about that. Going to learn about his insights into the music industry and pitfalls, etc., to avoid, some of his favorite songwriting, etc. He's also played, with the Rock and Roll Residency he created and is a huge deal in Nashville. You have so many stars that have played there. Gene Simmons, Rachel Bolan. It's a who's who, really. Don Airey of Ozzy Osbourne, Robin Zander, Evan Stanley as well, Alice Cooper, and it's just a really sort of a cornerstone of rock and roll in Nashville, Tennessee. You would think, hey, it's a real country town. Well, Phil makes sure that rock and roll is involved, which is enjoyable. We're going to talk a bit about his work with Monica Llewellyn, singer in Nashville. We're going to talk about Accept. He has also worked on the Ace Frehley album Origins Volume 2, which is super exciting, and that was a mix of a lot of different covers, and there was a whole host of stars on that album, so I'd love to kind of find out what that was like going through and playing the song, kind of like what the rehearsals are like. I'd like to also talk to him about, he does everything, really. He's just so busy, is nonstop, even in the midst of a pandemic. He's found his way around to bring art and life, and I think it's a great example for us to continue on, to keep on keeping on as we can. I have been personally we had a couple shows canceled with the Melted Chapsticks myself, which has been tough, but it's a part of life, and I've been enjoying working on this podcast, talking to great musicians, as well as a second-hand therapy podcast that you can hear on Boston Free Radio, 10 o'clock it's noon on Tuesdays. So it's we get into Zen Buddhism with Bobby Kay and myself, talking about how to manage these really different stressful times that we're going through. And whether it be this or that, I think it's a great time to take some notes, write some songs, paint, make some music. And it's been challenging, but there are ways to continue to have your voice be heard, whether it's writing the songs. Apocalyptic open mic has been a real salvation for me. Up CJ, he is fantastico as far as being able to play. I've seen bands play on there. I've done some music. You can play acoustic, but it's an apocalyptic open mic. So that's been amazing with CJ and the off ramp. So you just look up apocalyptic open mic, jump on there, share your art that way. So I'm really excited to dive into Phil's life, which seems very full, filled with rock and roll. I've listened to many of his podcasts, which are exciting, very informative of everything from the music to behind the music. And he has a really fun name as well. Phil Shouse is in the house, School of Rock and Roll. And it's just interesting to me just to see learning to see what other artists are doing in the midst of not being able to get together. It's something that obviously I've never seen in my life. It does happen. We had a pandemic back in 1917 where there were maskers and no maskers. I'll wear a mask unless I'm playing on Unmasked by Kiss. It's been really an interesting time and self-reflective. For me, it's just been playing a ton of guitar. There's a lot of good tools out there if you just want to jam along with Chordified, etc. And somebody with a favorite name of mine, Phil Shouse, is in the house.
I'm here, and you already rhymed, so we're off to a great start.
We really are. Thank you so much for being on Melted. And I would also like to say, you stopped in to Eddie Carlito's place saying, yeah, I'm just on my way to Sweden. What brought you to that point?
Yeah, that was about a year ago, or a little over a year ago. It was either in October or the winter. I forgot which one. But yeah, I was on my way. I was changing flights in Boston, and my buddy came and picked me up. My buddy Alejandro from Worshipper and Bang Camaro came and got me, and we went by, saw Ed. So surprised him. That was fun.
No, that's totally awesome. And then were you off to be with Accept?
No, I was just on a trip over there to see friends.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I just kind of went over there twice last year. Did a gig just with some buddies at a bar the first time, and the second time I ended up going to see the Helicopters on New Year's Eve.
What a great way to spend your time.
Yeah. I think I saw Sleep while I was there, too. It was that trip, yeah.
Right. Did you get any sleep is the question.
Oh, yeah, I did. The second day for me is always like the catch-up day. So I was in bed for a day and a half.
Awesome. I have my European citizenship as well out of Ireland. So if we ever need to take off and cut the line, we can do that.
That's a good option. It's a good card to play.
I like that.
Yeah.
Being raised in Wisconsin, moving to Nebraska, moving to Alabama, and now Tennessee. Are you a Packers fan? Because I was wondering about your bandmate, Ryan Cook. He's a big KC fan. He has his Super Bowl. Are you a Packers fan hoping to win it and just keep the Super Bowl in the band?
At this point, yes, I am a Packers fan. I'm Titans first. So now that we're out of the playoffs, after a very good year that we had this year, I'm not in the team.
No. Exactly.
I try not to do that. It's like, we won. You didn't win shit. You know?
Well, actually, I mean, you look like a really good wide receiver. My family has Patriots season tickets, so I've driven Mike Vrabel around, and I know him as well as some of the other players. And I was pulling for him as well, but, it comes down to, I'm quickly a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan.
Hey, so I got a really hot take for you already. So we're gonna break some shit right now with some sports. So
Please.
I have this theory that the playoff picture this season has been totally different from any recent years, drastically. The Browns and the Bills are in it, along with other teams. I think a big part of that is Tom Brady moving to Tampa Bay. That one guy leaving Belichick and splitting that team up, because the Patriots have had player changes over the years, but that's been the constant. You split that up, everything's different.
Well, if we want to get into molecular physics and we split it, the atom, that is the big debate in Boston. It's continually, and I am friends with Tommy's family, and I get to watch on Facebook. His beautiful sister posted on Facebook, "I need some more scotch" during the game, and I wrote back, "Tape? Good evening." I mean, like, what are you worried about? He's been doing quite well. But
He's just fine.
It is really, why not another Super Bowl ring? But that's what's been going on. Did you make many of the Titans games?
You know what? Actually, I went to the last one, the first playoff game here against the Ravens. So Ryan and I were there, and that's why they lost. So
well, you take the responsibility. Well, my family with the Bruins, listen, my three beautiful sisters and mom, they're like, "Frankie, do not go to the next Bruins game." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going." Loss. And I'm like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
It's really, really good stuff. So I was thinking just about musically, for anybody, there's heaven and hell. We look at these extremes. Now, a song that's about hell, you actually got to play with Don Felder in Hotel California. I mean, what was that like?
So that was this big show at a stadium in Minnesota, and it was a charity show. So Gene was going to be there. So we're there with Gene. And Don was on the bill, and Don didn't have his band. So Gene offered us up. So use my guys. They're great. And so we just kind of ran through it with him and sound check. And then we all did our homework, and we knew what to do. So we kind of ran through it with him, sound check, and that was it. And then that was Cheap Trick was on the bill too. And then that was the first time that Ace played with us.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a big night, big day.
No, exactly. And the song is rather long. So what are your thoughts going through? And it's not that, it could be this or that, but with particular songs, is this just muscle memory, or are you thinking about like, how did I ever end up here?
Well, for that one, I was playing bass, and it was one of my first real gigs on bass. So I was concentrating very hard, trying to keep the Latin feel kind of, kind of the pulsing thing in there in the song. So that was that. But I'm constantly thinking, how did I get here? With any of my gigs, I may be doing, whether I'm at some festival in Europe or, playing some theater in America with Ace Frehley to my direct left, and that's a common question that pops up.
No,
I don't have an answer.
No, well, I think a lot of things are timing and chance and just being ready for things to happen.
That's the thing. You have to you do the work and to create opportunities, but when opportunity knocks, you have to be, as the saying goes, you got to be ready.
No, absolutely. In my upbringing, my father, Boston policeman to a Fed. I like to say I'm 28 again over and over, but I've done that for a few decades now.
Right.
My dad comes in my room, sees the Kiss Destroyer poster, looks at it, and rips it off the wall.
I think that was a lot of parents' reactions.
And it seemed like with your brother, who was much older, was very helpful, and you've gone through the different instruments. And I really love my mother, and thank God for our moms, and my dad. Me, and I'm not claiming to have any talent, but I've surrounded the right people around me with my band, the Melted Chapsticks. We've played a few St. Patrick's Day parades in Boston, hundreds of thousands of people. And my mom is like, "Frankie, when are you going to go back to just playing the guitar?" I go, "What do you mean?" "Well, you can't sing." I was like, "All right, thank you." And then Dad sees a YouTube, and I go, "What do you think of the Melted Chapsticks?" "All right, let me hear." "This guy sucks." And I'm like, "Dad, it's me." But that's the whole thing. It's like, I like how you would play acoustic versions of Metallica to your mom.
Oh, yeah, to sneak it in. And I would play I'd pick, I forgot what it was. Like the acoustic intro. I'd play that and it's like, no, listen to this. Here's something else. Here's something else I did, kind of sneaky. When I was like, ninth or 10th grade, I would call girls on the phone and talk to them, and I would play the CD of Spanish Fly off Van Halen 2 like it was me.
Oh my God! May I borrow that?
I would, yeah. I was like, oh
great...
yeah. Well, I'm just sitting around practicing. I'm just working on this song. Here it is. I'd push play, and like it worked, but
Oh, I appreciate that so much because one girl actually called me out saying, "You're playing scales," and I'm like, "Well, you're right."
Well, yeah. And
I was fortunate to see you folks with Gene at the Lynn Auditorium a few years ago.
Lynn, the city of sin. You never go out the way you came in.
You are well versed with Lynn.
But I kind of did. I think I broke the myth. I didn't feel any different after I was there. So
right.
Maybe the curse is gone now.
Well, thank you. Well, I think we may win another welcome. World Series.
I'll take full responsibility for that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. I look at also he brought up, a young guy that was blind to sing Dr. Love, I believe it. And Ryan told me you guys did that a lot with Gene, bringing up different individuals.
He would, I was always a kid, always would contact, like, look out there. And, there was a little bit of pre-planning involved. But, I think almost every show we had that. We had a drummer come over in Sweden come up. And, yeah, it was always a lot of fun.
No, and I dig it. A couple things I just wanted to ask you because you've experienced it, not only with COVID, but it seems like you're busy, is the fact that we had, the Nashville bombing. I thought of you guys. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Let alone the tornado. I mean, it's just like, how have you been dealing with that stuff?
We really got hammered, the city, because the tornado hit a week before everything shut down for COVID, and then the reopenings and closings and everything downtown. Then the bombing. It was just come on. After a while, for me, I have really just kind of not paid attention to it. I know it may sound horrible, and it's not that I don't care.
No, it's Buddhist really, or Zen, because in the
it
moment,
is. I can't change it. There's nothing I can do about that. Okay, cool. That's over there, and I've been dealing with the things that I can change and can do, and I've really had
the wisdom to know the difference.
Selfishly speaking, I've had a really big growth year and a really positive year. I know I don't share that with the most of the people in the country or the world for that matter, but personally it's been a really good and peaceful year. I've just kind of not paid attention.
Well, what you stated, actually, when I started my stand-up, say 11 years ago, banned from 4 clubs, blacking out, fought a bus driver, she won the fight, vomiting on various people, superstars at fundraisers. I haven't had alcohol in 10 years. Now, I listened to one of your podcasts. Well, at least I listened to one of your podcasts, and you were having so much fun drinking the fat bottoms with these gentlemen, having a great amount of laughs. But what you said is a part of AA. I can't control people, places, things, which is taken from the Stoics, which brings me to a point. I saw you talking about being in Bulgaria. Hey guys, I was on a stage in Bulgaria in the 90s, and we're like, yeah, 1990? No, it's 90. It's an amphitheater. All of this, and experiences must also enhance your perspective, because if I don't watch the news, which is all bad, and they're there to sell soap, they should sell mutt merch is what they should be doing.
They totally should.
But that's great to hear. And I also saw that you did the Kiss Masquerade. That looked like a blast. So it's like, as well as the personal growth, And I've been doing some live streams myself, but that was a big deal. Was there a lot of planning involved with that?
You wouldn't believe the planning. I know how much was involved. I was involved a little bit with that with Neil Davis, one of the promoters. He and Brian Bell did, all of the heavy lifting and stuff. But Neil and I spoke early on, and we started talking about weekly leading up to this thing. So yeah, and it was great because Florida's been kind of the Wild West this whole time with really no or little regulations. So they tripled, quadrupled down on everything, and nobody got sick.
Right.
So we did it. It worked. That was the big experiment. I was really nervous leading up to it and during it, going, God, I hope this comes out and it doesn't end up being some, spreader event. And nobody got sick. And the thing was, everybody was cool. All the people that came, all the attendees were cool, and they understood and they cooperated, and you didn't have anybody protesting because it was made very clear that we weren't there to do that. We weren't having that. And you're going to come to this, you're going to abide by these rules, you're going to be cool. And everybody was. We had fun. We hadn't really plugged into amps in a long time.
I know.
So that was a lot of fun. Seeing friends we haven't seen, seeing Jean again, meeting Rick Derringer and playing with him was great.
Kulik on live stream.
Kulik and Todd on live stream, they were great. And Neil, I've worked with Neil on some other events too, and he's very thorough, and everything is done, which is great working with somebody like that.
No, it really is. And I think having a demon with a mask on right up in the back of the stage made me put on a mask. So
yeah. The merch ideas were great. They really did a good job on all that stuff.
With that said, tell me about some of your work with Monica Llewellyn.
Monica and I met kind of at the beginning of the quarantine is already in effect. And we met through mutual friends. And when it kind of started to get a little bit, the lockdown started to ease up a little bit, we learned about our love for the Beatles, and we started, it's like, well, maybe we should work out some songs. And so we did a few, and then we did a live stream, and that took off, and we just kept on doing that. So that started at the beginning of all of this. I've only known her for less than a year. We're good friends now because we've done all these Beatles shows together.
Right. Great voice as well. Amazing.
Oh, thanks. And we've started doing some really small performances around Nashville as well, but live streaming that too. And we're actually doing another one coming up January 31st.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
and where can they find that? Will that be on your page or Monica's as well?
It'll be on both.
Okay, great.
Oh, either one. So they want to follow me on everything. I'll have it streamed there for sure.
Awesome. And speaking, I have a Siamese ragdoll who just jumped up here, Cookie Dough. I would like to transition to Mutt Merch, which is a great site. Tell me about it. And I want to go through some of these names. Oh, my.
Sure. So Mutt Merch has been around for a few years now. It's a company of mine. It's dog and music-themed clothing for dogs and people. But now we have more products. This is like the new site's just up last week. We haven't even really made a big announcement yet. We're still kind of tweaking it. But muttmerch.com has everything. We've got dog stuff, human stuff, home goods, you name it. Things like Black Labbath, Aerosniff,
Ruff,
Ruff for Rush, Bones and Noses, the Grateful Dane, the Beagles, of course, and a bunch more. Now there's Philip Shouse merchandise available.
Well, I was going to say I need my keychain, so I will be ordering that.
And you can get keychains there. You sure can. So, and I've also got a new dog yoga themed line called Namaste, STAY. And so that's on there too now. So
now, is that a picture of your dog with a haircut, or was that picture taken in 2013?
Oh, that picture was taken in 2013 or 14. Yeah, I had a short hair year.
And that happens. I'm only upset with you. I mean, I have long hair as well, and I, hear the different podcasts joking with you. Do you use Moroccan oil?
I don't use anything.
Damn you.
I wash it probably twice a week, and don't do shit to it.
That's the magic, everybody. It's as easy as that. We got. I love my black lab. Who came up with? Did you just sit down with some friends and let's tweak these names and have a lot of fun?
It was pretty much me. My wife at the time. Well, no, actually, we were getting divorced when we started the company, but the idea of the company came when we were married. So a lot of them, a lot of the designs were ours. She's no longer involved in the company, so all the new stuff is all me. But this is like how my brain works. I'm always thinking of puns and different takes on stuff.
And that's the creative side of you, and that's important. And it shows on this website of go to muttmerch.com to see for yourselves, and let's keep our doggies dressed.
That's pretty much what I worked on all year. I'm glad I had that because I would have, when April hit and you realized it was going to be a long-term thing of not doing anything, I didn't have to scramble and think. I was like, okay, I've got this in place. I started my podcast thing. And so I had kind of, a few things I could just kind of finish and spend time on that I needed to.
Absolutely. I was asked by a girlfriend of mine, Frankie, do you want to spend the pandemic with me? And I thought it was just going to be a long weekend.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and then it's 7-8 months later, it's just, I couldn't have fathomed this.
Yeah. About a month into it was when I realized it wasn't a lost weekend. And that was when I stopped drinking, and really started, because I was drinking about a box of wine a day.
Well, I'm really glad that you have class.
That's 4 bottles.
I appreciate you.
That's 4 bottles of wine, if for those of you counting at home. So I was doing that almost every day for going on about a month, and so it was definitely time to pull the reins on that. So I got that going, and also got healthier this year too. So
no, I saw that you on YouTube. You're like, well, bandmates, we do eat. So you had a nice video about the juices and the different foods you eat. And a lot of studies show that most of our serotonin comes from our gut. So what have you done differently?
The no alcohol was a huge thing. I've done it before, and the difference that makes is amazing. So I've also, if you know anything about me, I'm a craft beer snob. I'm that guy. So I have found all of these amazing non-alcoholic craft beers, like IPAs, single hops, double hops, West Coast IPAs, porter stouts, that you really can't tell the difference. It's amazing. And it's a fraction of the calories and no alcohol. So they've blown me away. And so with diet, I kind of just went plant-based. I'm not saying 100% vegan, but just heavily probably 90% plant-based at this point. So the difference is amazing. I dropped 25 pounds. So yeah, I felt that's been really key to my mental health as well.
No, for sure. And not realizing I went to my doctor, 12 years ago. I'm filled with anxiety. Well, Frankie, what are you doing? I said, well, I drink alcohol. Well, that increases anxiety. And I'm like, well, what about the wild pirate ladies of Captain Morgan? What about the Corona commercials? Well, those are lies.
Right.
It's a poison.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
They don't tell you that.
like Homer Simpson's famous quote, alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of world's problems.
I loved when he was the Bear Baron and the feds were trying to catch him, and they scream, we know you're out there, Bear Baron. We're going to catch you. And you hear in the background, no, you won't.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Of the Simpsons.
Yes, love them. The touring, then, how does that compare to diet, etc.? Because you're running around Europe, or you were with Accept, let alone Gene Simmons, let alone the Monsters of Rock cruises. How many did you do?
Oh, God, I think I'm almost 20 cruises now.
Wow.
So on cruises, it's tough to eat anything good at all. With Accept, luckily, the band is very healthy. Wolf is just like a machine. He's in such good shape, and because he takes the best care of himself. So it's easier on that tour. And even when we're with Ace, everything is we're doing a lot of buyouts and Panera Bread and things like that. So, you know, we're nobody's doing beanie weenies in the van anymore. I'll put it that way.
Right. And everybody has those experiences and stories.
Yeah,
When was your first sort of Led Zeppelin moment on tour?
there's been no sharks or anything like that. Not that
We
heavily.
checked that box off.
Yeah, not that. You can cross that one out. I'm trying to think when stuff. I had a lot of fun. Nothing like scandalous at all happened with these guys. But when I was out with Rodney Atkins, uh, two of my bandmates, we just had so much fun. I was actually, I'm thinking of one summer in particular. It was my divorce summer, and I
Oh,
had the
God,
best.
yes.
I had the best time that summer. We were on a tour opening for Darius Rucker. So it
Oh,
was
I
just
love him. My
we were
God.
doing all these big sheds, and his whole camp is just the best group of guys. And we had the great group of guys too. We had a great time. And me and my two of my bandmates, I can mention them, it doesn't matter, but we didn't do anything, but we just drank a bunch of wine and a bunch of beer and had like the best time. Other stuff, yeah, other stuff's been there.
Yeah.
In and out, in and out. I don't mean that as a pun, but yeah, it comes and goes.
No, absolutely. And it's, again, kind of looking at the music industry. And I think people making art is what they should do. It doesn't matter. Just make your art. It makes the earth a better place. Be kind to
Yeah.
people, etc. And you see, people have their misconceptions or whatever. We need my green M&Ms, or there's all types. And as a matter of fact, I was going to just ask you, with your love of the Beatles, with Phil Spector passing away in prison, being convicted of murder, what your thoughts were about him, if you have any.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Phil, obviously, totally lost the fucking plot. But he invented that sound. It's huge, and I don't like the Beatles album he did. I much prefer the Naked Let It Be that they did decades later.
I think Paul's
I
upset as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's why they did Naked. It's like, what? Take the strings off and don't ever fucking do it again. I love his letter. His letter to
Yeah.
Oh God, what a great letter. So I like the Beatles solo records he did. I like the work with Lennon. I like the work with Harrison. I don't like the Beatles record. But I mean, he did, his 60s stuff, the LA stuff is totally groundbreaking. Separating the person from the art, you know.
It's amazing. And then do you, like, I think some bands ran from that guy. You
The
trust.
Ramones, I think, wish they did. He was showing off like these gunfighting moves in the control room in front of them,
Right. It's like, I'll pass on that.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no, no. Honestly, I had a lead guitarist that pulled a gun on me, literally in his apartment, and pulled the trigger. And it didn't go off, but I was like, am I initiated into the Masons now? I didn't know what was going on.
It's like, you're out of the band.
It's like, are you kidding me? I like to pass on that stuff. And it's really nice to hear. I think a lot of it is, again, you've been married. I haven't done that. But partnerships. I think as bands go, you have played with a lot of people and jumped on different compilations. But it's like being married to 5 different people that you may or may not want to sleep with. So you're dealing with a lot if it's not a good crew, correct?
Yeah, and everybody's. I mean, these days, the days of being in like U2 are over. When it's like you're in one thing and that's your one thing. Those days are done. So everybody's just cool with everybody doing whatever. It's way less like a marriage than it's like a fling. It's like an affair now. So instead of like it's a because when you're like a tight knit unit that does this all the time, that's when it's like a marriage. But nothing I'm involved in is like that at all. Everybody's cool with everybody doing different things because you have to these days. If you're going to make a living out of it or even attempt to.
Well, if you think about this, and I am not an insider, but you play with Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley, and you look at the history, and things I'm sure are much better now. I hear great things about both of them, and bands sometimes don't work out. But you've played for both.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a testimony to it.
Well, that was Gene's doing. Gene pretty much told Ace to hire us.
And why wouldn't he? You guys are fabulous. So
He just we had done a tour together in Australia, and we were going to back up both of them, Gene and Ace. And at that point, we were going to be Ace's band for logistics only. Just so we were already going to be there. Ace had played with us. He knew we knew the catalog, and then Gene didn't care at all. He loved the idea, and Gene at that point knew he was going to go back out with Kiss in the new year. So he was going to be not using us anymore. So it was kind of like, hey, I can't use these guys. Use them.
that's awesome. Is there something you learned from Gene directly about the business, etc.?
The most important thing I took from Gene, because we were with him all the time. We traveled together. We had no crew. It was just the five of us. So we ate together, rode together, played together, all that stuff. I never heard him complain one time, not even close to complaining anything about like, oh my God, this flight's so long. Oh my God, we're late. Never, not once. And that was really important to see. Like that guy is so grateful for what he has and what he's become, and he doesn't get rattled.
Well, that's the thing, and I think this pandemic hopefully is, and people take out what they will. But different things have come up. Because of my drummer, someone at his work had COVID. We couldn't have the show. I mean, things happen. So it goes back to I can't control people, places, or things.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put your quote on a coin and just hand them out. It's good stuff. So you also, with Gene, what are some of the fun things about Ace or things you've learned from him?
Oh man, Ace is a trip. Ace is Ace Frehley. Like he's just like Ace, which is hilarious. There's this really funny story. We were in Japan, and right after Australia, we went to Japan with only Ace and played 8 shows in 4 nights. So we're doing 3 nights in Tokyo, then going to Osaka for the final night. So we get done with the Tokyo show, we get back to the hotel, we're getting our bags. Ace pops out and he goes, all right, guys, I guess I'll see you on the cruise. We were doing the Kiss cruise of that year.
Oh, really?
He's like, all right, guys. Hey, guys, I guess I'll see you on the cruise. Fellas, have safe travels. And our drummer, Christopher, goes, no, Ace, we got one more night in Osaka. We'll see you tomorrow. And Ace goes, we'll figure it out.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, he is the best. He is so great. So many funny stories like that. He's a trip. Both of them were so cool to work with, and having it be 2 guys from Kiss, it means so much to me and the rest of the guys. We're just like, wow, this is unreal. To do it once with Gene was one thing, and then to do it again with Ace and have them both be just awesome to us is quite amazing.
No, it's dreams come true. That's you and Ryan and your crew for sure. And working on Ace's album, I know there were a lot of moving parts, from Manic Depression to the other songs. How involved were you, and what did you see about the process? And tell me a little bit about it.
That was Ace asking Ryan if we wanted to do a tune. And of course, Ryan's said, yeah, we'd love to answer for all of us, obviously. And then Ace, it was Ace's idea to do She and have us sing it like we do live, because we had just added that one to the set before all this was kind of taking place. And we sing it live, the 3-part harmonies, and it goes over great. So that was his idea. And so we couldn't get together. So Ace sent us tracks, and we kind of did our stuff here, sent it back, and there you go. So it was pretty, it was done, I think it was done in January or February, I think, of this year. So, yeah.
So exciting. And then you turn around and you're playing with the Tummies. What's going on? Who are you cheating on now?
Tummies, so that is dear friends of mine. It's Dana and Judd Fuller. Judd, I know from Rodney Atkins' days and the Residencies. His wife Dana is one of our great singers at the Residency. She's just a fucking powerhouse. So they've written all these songs that are very reminiscent of the Mersey sound, really early '60s, stuff with that kind of feel. And there's a new video out, came out last week for a song called "Little Blue Heart," and the new record "930 Girl" comes out in a month or so, I think. So that is just the most fun to do. It's just, yeah, we just sit there and just laugh and have a blast recording all that stuff.
And why wouldn't you? Because it's also, speaking about YouTube, I saw you playing, and it's just one clip on YouTube with Dilemma. And that
oh
was
wow, that was my nephew. That was my nephew's band.
I was wondering. I was like, wow. I mean, he's everywhere. I think I see you down the street right now.
That was a few years ago. That was my nephew Eric's band. He lives in Omaha, Nebraska, and they have this really great program called the Blues Education Program as part of the schools. And so you can audition for these bands, and they'll assign you a band and book you. I had to I couldn't even pull teeth to get a gig in high school. I mean, there was just nothing to do. And it's so much, which is great. And it's so much easier now to do that and for kids to play and learn. So Eric was involved in that. And so I went up and did like a talk with him. And then, of course, staying at the house, they rehearsed at my brother's place. And so, we're going to play.
And then do it, because I had noticed, as you had said, growing up, it's kind of like with my dad especially, looks at this as evil or bad or just gets a bad rap. I mean, I listen to, except I love the metal, Zombie Apocalypse, and the song Pandemic. It's like, are you guys just writing things and then they're happening? Could you give me the numbers to the lottery coming up? There's about $700 million for me.
I know. With the pandemic, there was so many marketing and merch ideas for that.
They
had the songs for it for sure. It was pretty amazing.
And Zombie Apocalypse, I'm like, well, that is what's happening. What would you say just to young musicians as far as giving them encouragement?
Just keep playing and keep playing with anybody that you can play with, or with whom you can play. That's the most important thing, is to be open-minded and don't be a music snob and don't turn down stuff because it isn't just perfect for you. Take the gig if you're available. You're going to learn something guaranteed, and just be open-minded.
Yeah, that's
and be open-minded to non-music stuff too. There's an art to doing hard work, but there's also an art to kind of floating down the river. And if you're feeling pulled a certain way, let it go that way just a little bit and see how it goes and see how you feel. And because with these days you can be a musician. Like me, I can be a musician and run a clothing line and do all kinds of things from my phone. Technology's really made it easier to do more things, and it's made it easier to multitask and do different things while you're traveling, and use your time wisely with that.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to ask you, you formed the Rock and Roll Residency, A Million Stars from Alice Cooper, Gene Simmons, etc. How did that start? And then, is it open now, or what's going on in Nashville as far as live music?
Live music, only places it's happening right now consistently is on Broadway and in the Broadway area, like downtown, where all the honky tonks are. So they're open, limited capacity. They close early, and I think there's a few venues doing distance shows and live stream shows. And where the Residency came from, that was Jeremy Asbrock came over, and we had a slow April back in 2014, and he had the idea to do a month-long thing. So great, doing 70s rock that we like and getting our friends out to play with us. And it turned into 5 years of having like 5 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members on the stage with us. So it became, people got gigs, friendships were made, it turned into like this big, way bigger thing than I think anybody intended. or expected.
Well, that's, I think, with all of our art, you just keep doing it. You never know what can happen.
And we had no expectations in it either. So another reason why we just were like, sure, we'll play these songs for fun. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And that isn't us. That's just the people. We would have stopped it after 4 weeks if people didn't stop coming. So, there was a demand there, and we provided.
And what's upcoming for you as far as projects? I know that kind of thing ended with Ace, and then you jumped with Accept, went on a nice European tour. We're not doing that now. When does the music industry feel like we'll be touring again?
I have a good feeling that this year it will get back to doing something. I can't say, of course, how big or when, but I personally don't think it's going to be summer. Maybe fall, I guess. But yeah, again, I'm not really counting it down. I learned a really big thing in 2020. I learned I really don't need that to be happy.
Thank you.
That was a big thing. Like, I don't really need to do this, which was cool to me to learn that I didn't identify with that. It's like, that's who I am. So no, it's something that I do. It's not who I am. And so that was a pretty big moment for me to learn that I love it. And, of course, when I'm doing it, it's fantastic. But, my happiness doesn't depend on it. So I'm not really counting down to when we go. I'm just kind of like, oh, great, show got moved. Okay, whatever. And I kind of go back to my business, and I'll do the same. Oh, great, a show. Cool. I'll play it. Tell me where to be, and I'll be there.
Absolutely. They call him Phil Zen Shouse because it's so, like the water, ebbs and flows. I don't put my attachments to these things either. And Russell Brand, the famous comedian, he had a nice podcast where he created a character like I did with Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood with, selling my chapsticks, playing my bad music, having a blast.
Yeah.
But that isn't really who I am. I took the Myers-Briggs and I find out I'm an introvert. It's good to, kind of have those moments, and it's okay because I think we've been forced to shine the flashlight on ourselves for a change. And
I've got no, really dependence. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And so I had all year to spend on me. I mean, just, being selfishly, but what else am I going to do? I kind of had an excuse to work on merch and do all these other projects and, not just sit around and bitch about not playing, just do something else.
It's so true. My uncle said the same thing. He said he never felt so good binge watching Netflix, Chicago PD or whatever it was, because he didn't want to, in that show, if there's been a crime, the door is just ajar a little bit. And when they see a perp, they're like, get him. So there's a chase. So it never gets old, apparently, because it's in every episode.
Yeah. My parents love that one, and they love Blue Bloods too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I just really appreciate your time and.
Sure, man. Thanks for remembering me and asking me back on.
Well, the last time we chatted, you were going to Mexico. Thankfully, I speak English, Spanish, and Starbucks, and lived in Mexico myself. How was that trip?
Nice. Man, it was a lot of fun, and it was even more fun thinking back on it now. That we got back the week everything started closing.
Wow.
So that was our last thing. I got to do a tour with Lucifer in January, and then in February went to Mexico, took the trip down there, and then came back and everything shut down. I did cram a couple really good things in the year before everything stopped.
Well, what I think we should also do, besides having everybody go to Mutt Merch right now and clothe their doggies, is we should sell some access to your memory museum. Because it seems like to me you've had a good time. So let's keep those good times rolling, Phil.
Let's do that. I hear you. What do you have in mind?
Let's continue to write, sing, maybe paint a little bit. I would like to, I don't know if it's legal, I'll have to check with the program, if I can start down in some non-alcoholic craft beers and become a snob.
Oh, It's fun. Trust me. And let me know. I can recommend some breweries and beers to you. I'm that guy. I'm now that guy for non-alcoholic beer. So I kept my character.
Well, when Boston opens up and you're up here, we'll hit some of the breweries, the Sam's and etc. And
I've heard that Sam Adams is doing a NA.
Oh, really?
Like the regular lager, but non-alcoholic. Yeah.
Groovy. And a little tip about my hair. If you do use the Moroccan oil, you'll be able to turn water into wine. And not only has it been a pleasure talking to you, but the next fine young lady I'm talking to, and here's eruption. Yeah, I'm just practicing. Oh my God, you're amazing.
See, but that one had drums. I couldn't use that one. Spanish Fly was acoustic guitar, so I thought I could get away with it. I'm sure I didn't.
It might help me, especially when my dad is screaming at me, "Cut your hair," and I look at him, "Dad, where's my allowance?" And he's like, "You have the right to remain silent." I'm like, "Dad,
yeah, exactly.
Cop talk."
Yep.
Well, you have a great day. Give my best to Ryan and Jeremy, and I'll be having Jeremy on the show coming up in the next few weeks, and we'll talk soon.
Great, Frankie. Thanks again for having me on today.
You're the best, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Bye. Well, what a great time with Phil Shouse. Been there, done that, and doing it again. If you get a chance, look up Mutt Merch, where he will clothe your doggy with some great names, which I really enjoyed. Black Lab, Arrow Sniff, Bones and Noses, and it's really creative. The Beagles, where you have the doggies walking across the iconic Abbey crosswalk in England. Good stuff. I am getting my keychain. He is in the band Accept, metal band, played with Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley. It was really nice to hear his share about a year, which was, you could look at it, was the year taken away from us, or was it a year to grow and make it happen for us? And it seems like between doing his Kiss Masquerade show early January, as well as relaunching Mutt Merch, it's really an inspirational story. Monica Llewellyn he's working with, they're going to be doing a live stream, which will be exciting. And this is Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood. Thank you for joining Melted. We are on every Wednesday night on Boston Free Radio at 7 o'clock on Wednesdays, and Spotify, Melted. And our trivia question for Carlino Guitars: where did Phil stop into on his way to Sweden? Answer that on the Carlino Guitars page on Facebook or the Melted page on Facebook. Give us your answer. Eddie Carlino will make you a t-shirt. Go on to a site, carlinoguitars.com, and he can make you a guitar too, some straps. Phil uses the straps as well. Melted chapsticks. These lips melt chapsticks. And thank you for joining us. We want you to have a super day. Y'all are the best thing since sliced wheat bread. We love you. Talk to you soon. Melted.
This podcast was produced in collaboration with the Boston Free Radio Podcast Network, part of bostonfreeradio.com and Somerville Media Center, Somerville's longest-running public access media center that enables a vibrant and diverse community to express its creativity, explain its ideas, share its cultures, and foster the individual right to freedom of speech. Learn more about Somerville Media Center at somervillemedia.org, or check out some of the other amazing Boston Free Radio podcasts and radio shows at bostonfreeradio.com. Thanks for listening.